Seeing no other hands, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. Down to item C1, Finance, Bylaw 3102.02, 5-year financial plan amendment, CAO.
Thank you, Chair. This is a request for the 5-year financial budget amendment, and is to allow the purchase of a vehicle of up to $40,000 for the building inspection department. And this is in conjunction with the contract that we have with SUIS, and there's going to be recoverable costs back for as we use the vehicle for other purposes, not just the SUIS. Wherever we use the contract, there'll be an hourly fee established. And the administrative recommendation is that bylaw 3102.02, 2025 being a bylaw to amend the 2025-2029 5-year financial plan to include the purchase of a building inspection vehicle using the vehicle replacement reserve, be read a first, second, third time and adopted.
Okay, thank you. Director Monteith.
I'd like to make the recommendation.
Okay, you're moving it. Thank you. Seconded, it's on the floor. Any discussion? Again, I don't see any hands. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. C2, Community Works Fund Program Information Report. And over to the CAO.
Thank you. As you stated, this is a Canada Community Works Funding new eligibility guidelines, and the purpose of this report is to provide a brief summary of the eligible expenditure changes to the Community Works Fund program under the new 2024-2034 agreement, the timelines for expending the current and the restrictions. Staff is here to go through this, and there is a PowerPoint presentation that goes with it. Staff?
Okay. So over to staff.
I believe Nathan has a presentation. Nathan, are you online?
Is that?
There we go.
This is all different. I'm not seeing the usual screens here, so.
Yep. Okay.
Oh, there comes something. So.
Good afternoon. Sorry, can everybody hear me now?
We can. And
Excellent.
We see the presentation as well.
Excellent.
So
thank you. So we're just going to give a quick update on the Community Works program, just for people to have a refresher for those who haven't maybe looked at it in a while. So the Community Works Fund program, the current agreement came into effect in 2024. The previous agreement ran from 2014 to 2024. The current one will extend to 2034. Local governments can invest their annual CWF funds, which everyone often refers to as gas tax, allocations in 23 unique capital and capacity building project categories. RDOS allocates the funds received each year under the CWF to each electoral area based on population. Basically, with the new program, all existing eligible project categories from the prior agreement are maintained. There are a few changes and expansions. So under the new agreement, fire trucks are now eligible as a standalone project and don't have to be done in conjunction with a fire hall renovation or build. Feasibility studies and detailed design projects are now also eligible under as standalone projects as well. The disaster mitigation category has been expanded and renamed as a resilience category. And housing planning is now eligible, which includes the needs assessments as well. Unspent funds received under the prior CWF agreement are now considered to be part of the new agreement and expanded eligibility guidelines. So we don't have to track those separately and worry about which apply there. Any unspent funds that were held from the old 2014 to 2024 program must be spent by the end of 2028. Under the new CWF program, all funds received in a given year will be required to be fully expended on eligible projects within 5 years. we may be able to do exceptions on a case-by-case basis, and we can send through the details based on long-term capital or asset management plans to UBCM, and they will consider that. This one is probably the most important information for the rest of the board. This is the balance of uncommitted funds held by each area as of December 31st, 2024. So this is based on the audited balance of each of the area's funds, less any commitments that were on the budget from 2025 to 2029. These funds all must be fully expended by the end of 2028. And so if you have questions on that, please get in touch with finance and we will be happy to take a look at that and see what we can do to help allocate those funds to appropriate areas. And if you have any further questions, like I said, please contact finance and we will be happy to help you.
Okay.
And if there's any questions or feedback, please, yes, now's the time.
All right, thanks for the presentation. I'll see if there's any questions from the board. I do see a hand on the line there, but I have to admit, I think it's Director Monteith. I can't hardly see that from where I'm sitting, but Director Monteith?
Tim's got his hand.
Thank you, Chair. I often get questions from my irrigation district about why we cannot allocate gas tax to any of their infrastructure projects. Is that because it's infrastructure, you'd think it would fit, but is that a regional district policy or is that a provincial policy that we can't fund or support infrastructure that's not an RDOS asset?
Staff or CAO?
I believe what that comes down to is government properties and facilities are not eligible. I can refer to the CAO there maybe for more information if he has that.
Okay, CAO?
It's okay. So it's not a regional district policy. With the new rules, the asset has to belong to the regional district going forward. So in the past, the old rules, there was a special document that could have made this happen. The irrigation district would have had to sign a commitment that they would keep up the infrastructure for so many years. That's no longer available. The strict guidelines now is if we use it for something like that, we would have to pay it back through our own reserves. So it's not our rules, it's the provincial rules.
Okay. Director Roberts.
Thank you. Well, I got two questions and a follow up to the CAO's last comments, because I just looked up the UBCM's rules and regulations in regard to utilizing community works funds for those things that are not owned by the local government. And it states that it's possible to use or send money to a person, or organization, or private company if it meets to the benefit of the citizens of the area or whatever, but that it's something that needs to be for a municipality voted upon by board and council, or at a regional district voted upon by the board to allow it to go forward. So I'm a little bit for instance, going back to my first reason I put my hand up, where it said Area G had like 0 gas tax, my belief I should have around 400,000. I only had some stuff that was tied to the bins, but it shouldn't have been that take up all that I had. So a little bit of a query there, but then again, looking for some guidance around that previous statement around the community funds, because again, I just read it to update myself in regards to some proposed commitments. Thank you.
CAO?
So I'd defer that to the CFO to actually check into it, because that's contradicts what we originally were told. So before we would do something and use it for an asset that's not ours, I would have it confirmed by UBCM, and I'll ask Noel to just confirm it in writing. Noel, I'll leave that to you.
Yes, I can absolutely do that.
Follow up?
By all means, go ahead.
Yeah, that was the latest, like when I looked it up online for UBCM, it was the latest direction. And I do understand there's a difference between Community Works Fund and that other fund. Please forgive me, I can't remember the one that we got, kind of the one off, and that had to be specifically ours because I know that I had allocated money for that towards the bins and we weren't able to do that. So I had to transfer that money to the Olala water system while taking the old school gas tax money that was set aside for the water system and then use it for the bins so there was quite a lot of discussion around that. That's why it kind of alarms me to have something different, but thank you for looking into it. So lastly, I have got 0 in mind, so that's a little bit disconcerting in regards to what's available in my grant, my gas tax in regards to that slide. Thank you.
Okay, CAO?
If I can get Nathan, you probably have the numbers right in front of you. Why is it 0? Or is that the number that has to be spent with 5 years and there's other monies in there that can be spent in 6 years?
Absolutely. So there's this is the balance of funds less all the commitments based on the budget. So yes, there is at the end of 2024 in Area G there was 669,000. But the commitments that are in there, and I'm certainly happy to maybe touch base and go over each of those individually so that we can see that's what's been allocated. So for the balance that was on hand at 2024, everything's been committed up to 2028. There are additional funds, and of course there are additional funds that will be coming in, but this is based on what is committed from the budget and taken off of that balance, just to show that there's a number of areas where have significant amounts that are not committed to any projects between now and 2028.
Okay, any further questions? Is that a second hand from Director Monteith or is that a leftover? Seeing any other hands? That was for information purposes. So moving on to legislative services. D1, Similkameen Transit System Service Establishment Bylaw, CAO.
Thank you. This is great. That's finally coming to the board. The town of Princeton currently provides the Similkameen Transit Service. This is to establish it through a regional district, and the administrative recommendation is that bylaw 3082-2024 Similkameen Transit System Service Establishment Bylaw be adopted, and we have a staff in-house that can answer the questions. If the board has any questions.
Okay, direction from the board on this?
I would love to make this motion.
There's a mover and seconder. It's on the floor. Any discussion, questions? I believe it will be a participant vote, but no, it's corporate. It says,
Related participant vote.
well, we'll have to go to the new CEO for a ruling on that.
Thank you. I'm sorry if there was some confusion on some of the agendas. However, because it's an establishment bylaw, a service establishment bylaw, it is an unweighted corporate vote.
Okay. Any other questions? Am I missing one? Director Taylor, go ahead.
Yeah, can you just briefly describe the service? Is it just Princeton to Karamias and back, or does it also include Karamias to Penticton? I'm sorry if I should know that already, but I don't.
Okay, go to Director Coyne.
Yeah, I can. So it goes from Princeton to Headley to Karamias and then up to Penticton. And then it brings everybody back that same direction. And I believe there is a stop, unless they've removed it. It was up by Hilltop or somewhere to get the Costin people as well. So it's a valley-wide service. And right now it is almost 100. The number's in there, but it's very much funded by the town of Princeton. This turns it into a regional transit system that allows all of us to participate and frees up some money for Princeton to have another more robust system in town.
Any further discussion? Seeing no hands, call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? That motion carries. Over to CAO reports, and I'll go to the CAO.
So this is my, Chair, thank you. This is my report, and this is a reply to the efficiency review that was first started in 2024. And this is a response to the formal report that you got from the consultant. I do have call it a short PowerPoint presentation, short in my meaning. So,
Okay.
so just so that no one throws this back. Adam, if you can get the report up. So essentially, the PowerPoint mirrors the report that you have in here. What I've done is I've taken it into the various sections that the consultant had issues or corrections to the recommendations. I'll just wait until it comes up. First one. So essentially, this is, as I stated, it is a response to Nielsen Strategies efficiency review. It was an independent study on the efficiency of the organization. There was a total of 11 specific commitments to affected staff, and they were in camera and they were discussed in camera. And the rest of them are going to be discussed today. Adam? So the first recommendation, the consultant recommendation was organizational structure. Quote, per the report, no further action required. As you know, there was a transfer of a reporting structure. I had 10 senior managers reporting to the CAO. Now there is 4 managing directors, and there are, including also HR, protective services. And at one point, fire department reported to me 8 fire chiefs. I changed that. Now the 8 fire chiefs report directly to the protective services. And the last change was communications reporting to the CAO. It is less, it's more efficient. It's less work. You as directors now don't need to go to 10 different people or their managers. If you go to the 4 managing directors, they will lead you to answer the question, and they lead you to the right person. Adam? Next one is centralized functions. At the CEO, revisit the potential need for additional staffing. So since the restructuring of the communications department reporting to me, there's been some changes around, and at this point, we're seeing that we don't need an additional work for communications. We'll revisit it just to see in 2026, but I never really supported that last year. The consultant did, and with the backup and information that the senior manager of communications, we talked about the way things changed. I'd like him to come up and actually talk about the changes that make it more efficient.
Here behind me. So.
Here, okay.
It's fine. Go ahead, Eric. Have a seat.
Well, one of the key, to the chair, one of the key changes we made was, or recommendations was to use and make the best of the existing staff we have. So we have administrative assistants in different departments, and other staff who might be able to assist with some of the administrative tasks of, for example, booking events. So we're really just trying to be more efficient. And we're working more as a communications department on having a hand in engagement events. So events where we're going to the public and looking for feedback, but also providing information, having some oversight on that to make sure that we're doing it in a way that is useful and helpful to members of the public, but also for staff to make sure we're getting that feedback that can then go back to the board.
Thank you for that. Back to the CAO.
Thank you. Next one. And if you have any questions as you go, just let me know, please. So the next one's the culture of the organization. One of the first things that I did when I became CAO and the board nominated me is I created what was originally called the Interdepartmental Charter. It's subsequently changed to an ethics and charter, and every single staff has to sign it. In there, it talks about the positive thinking, working towards common goals. So essentially, the culture has changed. Is it to to the point that I would like. I don't think will ever be, because I would like everybody to come in and tell me TGIM, for instance, and actually come to work because they want to come to work, not because they want a paycheck. But it is better. There was a 360 review done for the organization, and to a degree, I'd say 90%, I'm there. So based on the recommendation, no additional recommendations are presented. The consultant saw the change, and he stated what we're doing is in the right way. So the code of conduct and ethics is working, and it's something that we're laminating. We're putting it out throughout the organization, and you will be receiving a electronic copy just so that you can see what it says. Next. Workload management. The recommendation is that the RDOS consider as part of the review the board committee structure. So he's asking here to have a new electoral area board committee that actually controls the new workload for the year. So we created a work plan in 2025, and currently the board as a whole can only add to that work plan and at the same time take something off. In the work plan is a review for the electoral area committee, if there's going to be one established or not. And the same consultant has the contract on that, and he's currently working on that. He's going to be bringing in some recommendations and have a workshop. So he's stating that this electoral area committee be able to add or subtract the work, just because there's sometimes so much different work that's coming through. There are 9 electoral area directors that may have specific goals, and we can't do all 9. It has to be, all the work has to be managed. It's based on our ability to do the work. Currently, it is working. There is a project right now that there's a workshop being planned for the electoral boundaries. So that's going to be coming in, I believe, at the next meeting in June. And you've been given what we need to take out to add to the electoral area boundary project. So that's something you as a board will decide. So this one here, if you go to the next, I think it's, okay, never mind, go back. So this one here, I'm stating we are doing it. It's just at the board level, not the electoral area service committee. If the board decides to set up an electoral area committee, at that point, then that committee can decide, or the board can decide to release that work to the committee or continue to keep it. Next. Bylaw enforcement. So this is the one that I made a comment that there's a lot to this. There's a little bit of a novel. So the recommendation is some previously presented recommendations have been addressed. 2 recommendations remain in effect, and they are the RDOS consider setting and updating regularly the bylaw for the enforcement, and that bylaw enforcement coordinators work to ensure the bylaw enforcement spends a minimum of 80% of their time in the field. Our bylaw is complaint driven. We don't go and drive around looking for issues. So in municipalities where this may be practical, because you're talking, for instance, Penticton, where I live, I can drive from one end of the city to another in 10 minutes. For us, we're talking regional district, we're driving from the main office. It could be 2-3 hour turnaround time. So you're talking 4 or 5 hours just to drive around looking to see if our bylaws are being kept. So that's not practical. So the board did allow us to hire a bylaw coordinator, contingent on bylaw, the business licenses being set up and established. So we haven't hired that person yet. You have it in your report, the information from the bylaw manager. If you go to the next one. So this is the response from the senior manager for the bylaw services, essentially stating what I just stated, that it's not really practical to do that 80%. However, we can be more efficient, and the bylaw coordinator will review the files and try to do a quicker turnaround time on any complaints that we have. If you just go to the next number. Next. Again. So risk management. So the recommendation for risk management is to remain in effect, that the regional district consider developing the policy and process to guide division and development. We are lucky in our corporate officer who has a certificate in risk management. So when she inherited the corporate officer position, she was very lucky to inherit the risk management position. So I feel very confident in Tracy to actually take a look at this and look at create a work plan. So that one is in process. Next. Software platform. Software that we have, just so that everyone knows, is similar to Summerland, the Oliver Suyas. It's I'm not gonna say the name, but it's starting to get to the point where we can do more. Right now, as you know, we're trying to become a taxing authority, and if we are, the software we have will work. But right now, we're supplementing it heavily with Excel to be able to meet the specific needs of our organization. If we become a taxing authority, we'll be able to save $1,009,000 a year for the taxpayer. But I mean saving, then the board can state where that money goes. So 350,000, I would ask for staff. For us to be a tax authority, we have to have the staff to maintain it. Half of our staff in finance came from the municipal field. They can do it. So we still hire new people because of the capacity. However, some of that money that we're also saving for the at least 2 years, if not more, I would like to, if again, become a tax authority, to go towards new software. And actually, we are a region. I strongly believe in a region working together. I would approach the CAOs for the other municipalities that have the same software we do and see if we could become a partnership and somehow save money, economies of scale. Either you have one unified license or have a lower cost because we'd be buying it for more than just one municipality, one local government. So he is recommending we have new software, and I strongly believe in this. Next. So this is what I just said. That's exactly, there's $100,009,000. I upped it to 450,000, but it is 350,000. The very first year, there may be some hiccups and we may need more staff, but for 1 year, it'll be 450 and the rest will be down 350. Next. Senior leadership team recommendation is still in effect, and that the chief administrative officer develop a formal term of reference. I'm in the process of doing that right now. Formal. So right now it's very informal. There's expectations. As of 2024, I switched the wage increases for exempt to performance-based, and the more efficient they are, the more wage they will receive. It's a three-prong percentage. One of them is based on the strategic priorities. Last year, we were 91% successful in completing the promises that we made to the board. So half of the increase is based, everyone gets 91% of a 5-year rolling average, or 50% of the 5-year rolling average. The other 50% is based on the culture, the ethics, the work ethics, and other areas that the HR has added just to make sure that we're all on the same page. Next, final. Consultant recommendation. So this one here is governance. That's what we were originally, he's stressing yet again that there should be a look or consideration for the electoral area committee. And that's something that he will bring to you to determine if you as a board decide to want it or not. So then what they're saying here is a committee of the 9 without the 11 for the municipalities. And there'll be pros and cons, and they'll be bringing that to you in a workshop. And I believe my short presentation is over.
Okay, is there any questions on that? Seeing any hands, so that was just for information.
Yes.
Thanks, CAO. And I think there's one more under yours, is funding small water systems.
Yeah, so in about 3 or 4 weeks ago, time goes by quickly, the chair and I went to a chair CAO conference for regional districts. There was 27 chairs and 27 CAOs, talked about different issues, talked about common goals, and myself and 2 other CAOs, the other one's from the Comox Valley and the other one is a Thompson Nicola, were chosen to serve on the committee to see if there's anything that we can do regarding private water systems. And there's a letter that we agreed upon to send to the province to see if we can get some common goals and establish it. As you know, we've had some issues with a number of private water systems. I think that the province should start taking responsibility. So in this case here, what we're asking here is that the board authorize the chair to co-sign a joint letter with the chairs of Comox Valley and the Thompson-Nicola Regional District advocating for increased funding and support for small water systems in rural British Columbia.
Okay. Director Taylor?
Strong support for the letter, but I am wondering, unless I'm mistaken, they suggest that the example they give is that one of their communities is looking at water bills of $2,900 a year. We have some communities, I would love it if they could be paying $2,900 a year. In fact, they're paying $8,500 a year, $8,500 a year. So could we, I mean, at the risk of adding more time, Jim, is it possible that an example like that might be a bit more extreme and perhaps get more attention could be used, considered?
Go to the CAO.
So that wasn't originally considered because they're not ours yet and it's not happening. However, we could add an addendum stating that this is in the works and it will happen.
Well, they've made the vote now. It is going to happen. So yeah. Anyway, otherwise I would make that motion and hope that you can possibly adapt, edit.
So it's moved. I'm assuming Director Roberts is seconding it. Thank you. Any discussion on it? Again, not seeing any hands. I'll call the question. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. Anything further from the CAO?
Nothing further.
Okay. Down to verbal updates. Anything to report from communities? All quiet. Oh, Director Taylor, go ahead.
Sorry, at what point do you want notice of motion?
That'll be coming up shortly.
Okay, I just didn't see it in the agenda, that's all.
Actually, I'm not, well, there is director's motions, so that'll be where we'll ask for it shortly. I'll go to you. Anything further for verbal updates? Seeing none. Chair's report. I'm still in the process of writing mine from the last get around, but since then, there's been nothing new other than today's event. Any director's motions? This is where would go to Director Taylor.
Yes, I'd like to provide notice of a motion that RDOS request the Agricultural Land Commission to reconsider use of the baseball diamond in Keogan Park. And I'm working with staff to have a draft letter prepared, but it would need the board's approval.
Okay, so that's a notice of motion on that. Any other notices of motion? Director Coyne, not at this time? Okay. Board members, verbal updates, board representation. Nothing from MFA, that's at UBCM, same with MIA. Okanagan Basin Water Board, anything there, Director Holmes?
Couple things. On May 6th was the,
Oh,
bring it up.
give him a mic.
They can't hear you.
Okay.
They can't hear you
All right.
online. That's the only thing. So,
Okay.
okay.
So on May 6th was the joint, every year, the OBW board has a joint meeting with the Okanagan Water Stewardship Council, who are a group of water experts in government and industry who kind of serve as a technical advisory committee to the board. So once a year, we get together, the board gets together with this technical advisory group. And basically we plan coordination and things to work on for the coming year. So it's quite a interesting session and a lot of learning on both sides. And we also started a new we did a SWOT analysis for the start off a new strategic plan. So that was at the May 6th meeting. We also heard at that meeting about increasing concern of blue-green algae blooms in Lake Okanagan, and also known as cyanobacteria. There you go. And so the OBWB has been working with the City of Kelowna and West Bank First Nation to monitor and develop a kind of an early warning system for blooms, and they've applied to the federal government for funding to make this a more formal thing. And I just yesterday was the kickoff for the Make Water Work, the annual campaign, and that was launched in Armstrong, who always seem to win it every year. It's a competition amongst all the communities in the Okanagan. So it would be nice if a South Okanagan community stepped up. And in my experience with these ones, it tend to be the smaller ones that do well. So Summerland's probably too large to win it, but maybe Soyuz or Oliver could yeah, could get that going. And this year, the campaign, they're collaborating with Fire Smart to promote water-wise landscaping and practices and create fire resilient yards and gardens and that sort of thing. So and that's it.
Okay, thank you for that. I think the next one is the Film Commission, and that's back to Coyne.
We haven't had a meeting. We have a meeting coming up, I think, next month.
Okay, so nothing to report on that. Okanagan Regional Library, anything there, Director Federico?
Yes, thank you, the chair. So we actually had a meeting yesterday. So we're working on a code of conduct because they didn't have one. We got a review of our 2024 finances and all was looking good there. And then we're in conversation about trying to have some meetings with ministers at UBCM just to talk about increase in funding for libraries. So they'll be coming forward to the board just for a letter of support with that initiative.
Okay, thank you for that. Sterile insect release, Director Bush, anything to report there?
Nothing new. We have a meeting at the end of the month.
Okay. Simia, anything there, Director Coyne?
Yeah, we had our annual meeting. Thanks. I see Director Holmes laughing. I was nominated as vice chair or vice president or whatever the term is again. So yeah, I think our rates were going down a little bit this year, and that's about it. We'll meet again next year.
Okay, thank you.
He did the same thing last year.
Okay. Starling Control, anything there, Director Bush?
Yeah, nothing new there.
Okay, and Etsy BC?
Nothing this month.
Nothing there? Okay, I believe that takes us to the closed session.
Just before we go into closed.
Sure.
I just want to say thank you to everybody who showed up today. It means a lot that everybody got to come and see a little piece of what we do out here in this end of the regional district. And now next time when we come and we say, hey, this is what we're dealing with, you kind of have a picture of what we're talking about. So thanks for that. And thanks for making us the first of the hopefully many road trip shows.
Okay, oh, that was a good day. The closed session, that in accordance with section 91, I gotta put my glasses on here, half dark. 91I and 2B of the Community Charter, the board closed the meeting to the public on the basis of the receipt of advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, and the consideration of information received and held in confidence relating to the negotiations between the municipality and a provincial government or the federal government or both, or between a provincial government or the federal government or both and a third party. So looking for a motion to go in camera.
So moved.
Moved, seconded, thank you. All in favor? Great. Any opposed? All right, I'll give All right. We're back and open and looking for a motion to adjourn. Moved, seconded. All in favor? Great. Any opposed? Thank you, everybody. We are adjourned for the day. And that was one of our quicker meetings.
Well, not that.
Not that
I
quick,
want
but
to show you what I got from Clarence the other day.